Okay, you did it. You found the perfect home. You're ecstatic, right? The excitement is just off the charts. But then the paperwork lands. It's this thick, super intimidating stack of legal documents. And right in the middle of it all is the contract. And you're just sitting there thinking, is this thing here to protect me, or is it some kind of trap waiting to spring?
And that leads to the one question that keeps pretty much every home buyer up at night. Once you sign that dotted line, are you locked in for good no matter what? Well, the truth is, it's not quite that simple, so let's really dive into this.
You know, we all have this dream of a perfectly smooth transaction, where some standard off-the-shelf contract just works for everybody. But the reality? That's a total myth. Every single property, every buyer, every seller, each situation is completely unique. A standard contract is just a starting point. It's the tools you add to it that really make it work for you. So, how do you actually customize that contract? Well, the most powerful tools in your arsenal are called contingencies. Seriously, think of these as your personal what-if clauses. They are your safety net for all the crazy twists and turns that can happen when you're buying a house.
So what exactly is a contingency? It's basically a condition that has to be met for the deal to go through. The best way to think of it is as your pre-planned, totally legal escape hatch. If one of your what-if scenarios actually comes true, this little clause gives you a way out without losing your deposit.
All right, let's start with the big one. This is the fear that haunts just about every buyer who isn't walking in with a suitcase full of cash. What happens if the bank says no, or maybe just not for that much?
This is exactly where the financing contingency becomes your absolute best friend. It says, flat out, that this whole contract depends on you getting that loan. So if the financing falls through, and it's no fault of your own, you can terminate the contract and, this is crucial, get your earnest money back. The one key thing to remember, though, is that the loan terms you put in the contract have to be realistic.
Okay, here's another super common hurdle. You and the seller agree on a price, you're all set, but then the professional appraiser comes in and says the house is actually worth less than what you offered. Now what?
The appraisal contingency protects you from this exact problem. See, lenders will only loan you money based on the appraised value, not the sales price. So if that appraisal comes in low, this contingency gives you the power to go back and renegotiate with the seller or just walk away. And get this, it's not just for buyers getting a mortgage. Even cash buyers use this all the time as a safeguard against overpaying.
Ah yes, the fear of the unknown. You absolutely love the way the house looks, but what could be lurking behind the walls or under the floorboards? What if this dream house is actually a money pit in disguise?
The inspection contingency is basically your license to investigate. It makes the entire sale contingent on you being satisfied with a professional home inspection. This is your chance to uncover any of those potentially deal-breaking issues, with the roof, the foundation, the plumbing, or even stuff like environmental hazards. It doesn't just give you peace of mind, it gives you serious leverage.
For so many buyers, this is the ultimate juggling act. You have to sell the place you're in now to be able to afford the new one. So how do you avoid that terrifying possibility of owning two homes at the same time?
This is where the sale of other property contingency comes into play. It makes the purchase of your new home completely dependent on the sale of your old one. As you can imagine, sellers can get a little nervous about this one because it adds a layer of uncertainty for them. That's why these contingencies often include something called an escape clause, which lets the seller accept a different offer if you can't get your home sold in time. It's all just part of the negotiation.
Okay, so contingencies are your safety nets. But how do you actually get them and other changes into the contract? This is where we need to talk about the super important difference between two other key documents, addenda and amendments. All right, here's the easiest way to think about it. An addendum adds to the original contract, right from the very beginning. Think of it like a pre-planned chapter that was always meant to be part of the story. An amendment, on the other hand, changes something that's already in the contract. That's your unexpected plot twist that happens mid-story.
So here is a perfect example of an addendum. For any house built before 1978, federal law demands this lead-based paint disclosure. It's not a change to the deal, it's an extra piece of information, a standard chapter that gets added to the contract from the get-go. Now, look at this. This is an amendment. Let's say that appraisal we talked about came in low, and you and the seller agree on a new, lower price. You don't just scratch out the old price on the contract. No way. You use an official form like this to formally change paragraph 3. This is that mid-story plot twist, all documented and official. Okay, so the theory is great, but let's see how this all works in a real-world story. This is where all these pieces are going to click into place.
So, meet Lynn. Her agent Barbara submits an offer that includes a financing addendum. That's her pre-planned chapter, right? But then, here comes the plot twist. The lender only approves her for $200,000, not the $210,000 she needed. But because of her contingency, Lynn isn't trapped. She has options. She ends up negotiating with the seller, and they agree to a lower price. To make that official, they both sign an amendment changing the sales price. See how that works? Addendum at the start, amendment for the change mid-story.
So as we start to wrap this up, I really want you to stop thinking of a contract as this rigid, scary set of rules. Instead, start seeing it for what it actually is, a customizable toolkit that's designed to help you build a successful deal.
Let's just quickly review the main tools. You've got contingencies. Those are your if-then safety nets that let you walk away. You've got addenda, which adds standard information and conditions right at the beginning. And you've got amendments, which change the existing terms when things don't go exactly as planned. All of these things work together to turn a generic document into a personalized contract that actually protects you.
So if you only remember one thing from all this, please make it this. Your real estate contract is not a trap. It's your toolkit. And understanding how to use these tools gives you the power to build the deal that is right for you.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know about the tools you have, whether you're thinking about buying next month or 10 years from now, what's the one safety net you would absolutely 100% want to have in your next real estate contract?